Oh man, in a display of both hubris and confusion, reminding viewers that it's unwise to let slip the dogs of war without first training the dogs or seeing if the beasts are even appropriate for the task, the woke celebrated Interior Secretary of the United States Thursday seemed ill-prepared to be confronted with a memo when testifying to Senate Energy and Natural Resources Committee members. That would be a memo her own office released, evidently while she was testifying, and which Senator Joe Manchin, the Democrat of West Virginia, obtained literally while questioning her about Biden administration blocks on oil and gas exploration. And it revealed quite a bit about the Biden attitude towards energy specifically and freedom overall. Hi everyone, I'm Gardner Goldsmith for MRC-TV, and here's the story. In the midst of what's supposed to be a routine update to the committee about the Interior Department's plan for new energy exploration and exploitation leases, Interior Secretary Deb Haaland appeared stunned when Senator Manchin received a sheet of paper and said,
if I may real quickly, Secretary Haaland, I don't know, did you all just put out a statement? The U.S. Department of Interior just put out a statement? And the statement basically says a proposed program is not a decision to issue specific leases or to authorize any drilling or development. This is from you all's office. So it looks like you all want to shut everything down.
Whoops. Call me crazy, but Secretary Haaland seemed pretty much caught unawares, as if the dogs of Interior Department war on the U.S. energy industry maybe got released before she had been able to get back to her bunker. Confusedly, she replied,
"Did you know you all put this on?"
I am sorry. I am sitting in this hearing and not.
My God, somebody, this shuts it down.
Manchin was stunned, clearly blown away. And when another unidentified member of the committee asked for a copy of that release, Manchin offered to be sure everyone received one. And he added,
basically, it says Secretary Haaland provides updates on offshore leasing program during the Senate testimony. During testimony before the U.S. Senate Committee on Energy and Natural Resources today, Secretary of the Interior, Deb Haaland, confirmed that despite delays in implementation from the previous administration, the Interior Department will release the proposed program, the next step in the 5-year offshore energy planning process, by June 30th, 2022, which is the expiration of the current program. A proposed program is not a decision to issue specific leases or to authorize any drilling or development.
Which inspires us to pause and contemplate. First, why Soviet-style central planning lingo has a place in what ought to be a free, competitive, consumer-driven, productive market for energy exploration and provision, separate from the government. Specifically, how is it possible that in the land of the free, the American consumers and those wishing to offer them energy resources have to answer to a 5-year offshore energy planning process cobbled together by political forces? And that's just the start of the vast line of questions that this inspires. If only the questions could be used to heat homes and fuel cars, maybe we'd be better off. Manchin amplified for his colleagues.
So we're going to do the proposal, but it doesn't guarantee they're going to do any leasing.
After Haaland attempted to explain by reiterating what we already know, it's the plan that's coming out, Manchin remained focused on the specific language of her office's release.
You're acknowledging the plan. You'll have a plan by June 30th, but you went further to say that doesn't mean that you're issuing any specific leases.
In other words, the plan for issuing leases might not actually include any issuance of leases. Kind of like a bully claiming the power to divvy out the food in the cafeteria and then reminding everyone that his omnipotence allows him to create a plan for food handouts that allow him to hold on to every last morsel. For his part, Manchin remained pretty steadfast, and he reminded Holland, quote,
"This is history. We've never done that before, not issue leases if you put a plan out. The plan has always been a long-term 5-year plan to lease."
But it likely would come as no shock to Manchin that the Biden administration appears aggressively disinterested in leasing for more energy offshore or onshore, or even allowing U.S. oil companies to increase their refining capacity itself. As I reported May 17th for MRC-TV, Abigail Tardif explained in December for Americans for Prosperity, quote, "One of Biden's first actions after taking office was to halt new oil and gas leases on federal lands and waters, a move that resulted in higher energy costs for the most vulnerable consumers. The administration canceled the Keystone XL pipeline and suspended oil and gas leases in the Arctic National Wildlife Refuge, ANWR, and New Mexico, despite opposition from the Navajo Nation. It also resurrected the Waters of the United States rule, which would increase barriers to energy projects." End quote. And as I noted in January for MRC-TV, that Biden offshore move resulted in 14 states taking legal action in March last year to fight for their autonomy, and a court ruling that for now has stopped the White House clampdown. I also noted in November, Biden briefly reopened oil and natural gas exploration in the Gulf of Mexico, and he subsequently stop them again. Meanwhile, the Biden regime's mouthpiece for the past year, Jen Psaki, has repeatedly targeted the oil and natural gas corporations as the culprits. You know, in a nation where its own rule book, the U.S. Constitution, only grants the feds the power to control 3 forms of land, those being Washington, D.C., military garrisons, and territories, it's incumbent on us not only to question the slippery way in which the Interior Department is playing with the ability of oil and natural gas companies to gain access to these areas, but to call into question the existence of the department itself. Americans around the continent and in Hawaii argue about how federal lands and seashore should be used. The lands are to be left to the states and their residents to handle, and preferably, they should be handled through private ownership that actually can reflect customer interests, demands, and liability. Senate hearings and 5-year plans and government press releases and ignorant statements from bureaucrats, well, they only serve to delay a change that I think is desperately needed. And that change is the liberation of lands and waters held under unconstitutional federal control. Thanks so much for watching, everybody. Please like and subscribe, whether you're watching on YouTube, where yes, they censor us sometimes, as you know, or preferably if you're watching on Rumble. We're seeing the numbers rise on Rumble. Please visit the MRC TV channel right over there. And please visit MRCTV.org a couple times a day at least. Open up a tab, check it out while you have the opportunity, and send some of the stories out to friends. The whole team is working very hard over there. You can, of course, support MRC through the MRC Store. That's a real help. Really appreciate that. And you can find us on Facebook and Twitter and on TikTok and Instagram as well. I'm on Twitter at Gard Goldsmith, and I'm on Gab at Gardner Goldsmith. Thanks so much for watching, everybody. For MRC TV, I'm Gardner Goldsmith.